Hola, everybody. Welcome to the Chats with Yvonne podcast with me, your host, Yvonne Armenta, where I talk about public speaking con cultura. So, I started watching anti MLM content a couple of years ago because it came up on my For You page, which then led me to watch MLM content in general. And I have just been going down these rabbit holes ever since. If you're not familiar with what an MLM is, it stands for multi level marketing. Some call it a scam, others call it time freedom. And you're likely a little more familiar with companies like Avon, Mary Kay, porque no falta la tía en la familia que lo venda. And while I personally believe their business practices are for the most part pretty shady, what I want to focus on in this episode is the motivational speaking part of it all. I think the reason they fascinate me is because when they speak, it's almost like they have all of the right techniques, but with the goal to persuade you to join their company using your emotions and insecurities in a way that just feels unethical to me. Now, if you're in an MLM, this is not about you. It's about a collective experience I've had with the industry strictly from my perspective as a public speaker. These are simply my opinions, my thoughts, and a moment for us to learn more about the art of public speaking and its various uses. It's important to me that we talk about how every aspect of the art, especially when public speaking, can often feel and be used to persuade you of something that benefits someone else a lot more than it does you. So, I'll start off with sharing more information about what an MLM is and share examples of companies that operate like this and how leaders may use motivational techniques in their speaking and what the impact of that is in our community specifically as mujeres, as Latinas, and I hope that you'll find some value in it. Again, this is more of an opinion piece and I wanted to share it for the purposes of learning once again about the art of public speaking and its multiple uses. So, let's start off with what is an MLM? I mentioned it stands for multi level marketing. They are businesses that involve selling products to family and friends and recruiting other people to do the same. They can be called MLMs, multi level marketing, network marketing, or direct marketing businesses. And I saw this definition, which I want to share because it offers a different perspective that will help us in our understanding of the motivational speaking tactics used. Multi level marketing is a legitimate approach to sales, but it does share some characteristics with illegal pyramid schemes. The key difference between MLM and a pyramid scheme is that MLM keeps the focus on sales, or so they allude to, while pyramid schemes generally focus on recruitment. Now, the FTC reports that 99% of MLM participants lose money. So, why do so many people continue to join MLMs? I found a quote via Fast Company that said, I think the disillusionment with the regular workplace or joining the workforce is a big factor in people turning toward MLMs. It makes sense that it would happen as they're approaching 30, they get married and need more money or have kids and they need more money. Everyone needs more money. And I will add that there's also almost like an enchantment that comes with the experience of being an entrepreneur. And I've seen a lot of MLM folks refer to their network marketing business as their own business when really they're contractors, right? And so I think it gives this illusion of I get to work on, quote, my business. The hours that I spend on it are going to be what I get in return, right? And often it's not the case. Statistics shows that this is definitely not the case. And I'll talk a little bit more about the different layers in this business model. Again, this podcast episode isn't necessarily about the business structure, more so about the public speaking portion of it, but I think it's important to share this piece of it because it provides you context for what I'm about to talk about. So, I asked ChatGPT to give me a definition, and this is what it came up with. Multi level marketing is a business model where companies use independent distributors to sell products or services through a network of participants. The company typically doesn't recruit new participants directly, instead, relying on existing members to promote their products and bring in new recruits. These new recruits, along with their recruits, become the participants' sales network or downline. Participants are paid a percentage of their recruit sales, and members at all levels receive some form of commission. This means that the more layers there are in the downline, the more money people can earn. So, this means that it kind of does operate like a pyramid, where if I join the MLM, I have to, first of all, there are often fees that you have to pay to join. So whether it be a subscription or getting your own product, all those kinds of things. And I've seen a lot of folks talk about it like, well, when you are an entrepreneur and you have your own business, you have to do some kind of investing. But this is not your own business. It really is, you're purchasing the product to then sell it to folks. And I'll tell you my own MLM story in a bit, but really what becomes the issue is not the fact that they are selling the products and making commission off of it, because that's what a sales role is. What becomes pretty unethical around it is the recruiting part of it. And I've seen in many situations where there are certain MLMs that where you get more money for recruiting someone and keeping them there month to month than you actually do on sales. So you could be a really great salesperson but not make money back because one, you're buying product to sell, and two, you're more incentivized to recruit more people to sell because that's how you make real money. So I mentioned this in the beginning, but Avon, right? Avon is one of the multi-level marketing companies that I didn't know was an MLM back in the day, but my tia was selling it, my mom was buying it, and they had always put an emphasis on gathering people in your home to make a sale. Yes, but more than anything, wanting you to become a sales rep as well. Because then the person, again, that recruited you makes money off of it, often making more money from the recruiting itself than commission off of sales. I am not trying to bust anybody out either, but I know of people that buy the product and they're so enchanted by the idea of it, or they see and by the way, I don't think that MLM leaders, that folks that are in MLMs do this kind of work thinking that it is unethical or thinking that there is something unethical about what they're doing and their practices. I genuinely don't believe that. I believe that everybody that is in an MLM genuinely believes that it is a good business opportunity and that it can transform your own world, but they're incentivized by recruiting more people, which is why they have to continuously do this, right? Like they have to continuously talk about the product, yes, because it's sales, but mostly about the lifestyle of it. So I'll talk a little bit about how that social media and motivational speaking kind of go hand in hand when you talk about a lifestyle and an ideal lifestyle. You pick at people's insecurities, you pinpoint certain experiences that they may be going through right now because you want them to join. And you know or think that you know to some capacity how it may have helped you. But in reality, a lot of the folks that are in MLMs are selling not only the product, but a lifestyle that they themselves aren't often fully living out. So I want to mention, and I think I've mentioned this in one of my episodes before, but my very first experience with an MLM was I didn't even know it was an MLM, but aparte de Avon, when I was a freshman in college, I think it was, I was looking for a job, I'm like, "Oh my gosh," I was stressing out, all this stuff. I received a letter in the mail and it was from Cutco. And if you're not familiar with Cutco, they sell knives and stuff. So anyway, I was like, "What?" They asked me to go to an interview. That's awesome. So mi mamá le dije que si se salía del trabajo. She took me to get clothes for my interview because I didn't have any. We went to the location where the interview was being held, which, by the way, it was kind of like in a warehouse area. So it wasn't even their company. They kind of just had rented the space out, it seemed like, now looking back. And when I got there, it was a bunch of people. For some reason, I thought it was just going to be me, but we went through a group presentation. They talked to us about the knives, all this stuff, and tried to really sell the vision to us. Then they took us into this room where they brought out the knives and they did a demo of the knives. And they said to us, "Okay, you're going to have to, the best way to get folks to buy these knives is to host gatherings at your place so that they can test out the knives and host like knife parties and all this stuff." And I was like, "What?" First of all, the only reason, by the way, that I didn't do it, I think, because I didn't know it was an MLM at the time, and remember, I'm a recovering people pleaser. But the two of the reasons I didn't do it, one was because there was no way that I could host anyone at my house. I grew up in a pretty low income household. At the time, it was just a room with me, my mom, and my little sister. And, back then I was really embarrassed about it. And I wouldn't even bring my friends over to it because it quite literally was not any space for us to hang out and chill. So I was like, well, why would I bring a whole bunch of strangers to try to purchase these knives? I was just like, no. And the introvert in me was like, hell no. And then the second thing was that you actually had to purchase the knives, and the knives were not cheap. They were in the hundreds, and pues no tenía el dinero for that. I didn't have the money for that, neither did my mom, and that's why I didn't end up doing it. But looking back, obvio, I realized that was a multi-level marketing company, and that the way that they operated back in the day was bringing people together for these events and talking about the product and talking about the lifestyle and the financial freedom and the time freedom that you get by selling these products. And that in addition to selling the products, there's another way that you can make money, and that's by recruiting someone else too. And if you recruit that other person, then you get a certain percentage off your knives and you get commission off of them being on the team. So it was a lot, and I didn't realize it until afterwards. So I want to talk about who MLMs target, because if you I want to say, like, si eres Latina, you've to some capacity been exposed to MLMs, making a generalization here. But according to the DSA, 75% of MLMs target women, and the majority of MLMs sell their things traditionally known as women's products. Not everyone. Not everyone. Now you might see the crypto talks out there. I even would consider saying that digital marketing, the new wave of digital marketing and faceless marketing, that's a form of an MLM. Haven't called it that yet because it's very new. But this goes back all the way back to the 1940s when people were going door to door talking about Tupperware and Avon, right? Like this is like door to door direct marketing sales. And social media has now transformed how MLMs go about selling. So I want to read a quote from an article that I pulled that talks a little bit more about this. Again, these may seem more like opinions, but they actually sometimes are fact. Again, these may seem a little bit, again, these are my opinions, the things that I have looked up, the things that I'm sharing are very biased because of that, right? I want to share a quote from an article that I read. And again, I want to make sure that I point out that these are my thoughts, these are my opinions, and you may have a different experience with multi-level marketing companies, and that is also appreciated and welcomed. I'm providing some context for the purposes of understanding public speaking. So, direct sales companies sometimes build their sales teams by targeting people with limited employment options or who aren't savvy about local business practices. People in close-knit communities are also ideal targets because they have broad social networks. The following groups are particularly vulnerable. Stay-at-home parents. MLMs, shady MLMs, not all MLMs, often target stay-at-home parents, usually moms seeking flexible work they can do from home. These individuals often have broad social networks and desire paid work they can easily do from home or on a flexible timeline. They're often lured by direct sales positions that seem like a great path to entrepreneurship, but may require unsustainable investments of time and money. Second, immigrants and lower income communities. Predatory companies also target recent immigrant communities, minority communities, and lower income communities worldwide. Many of these groups are known for valuing family and community, are upwardly mobile, and have close, trusting connections. A single foothold in a tight-knit community is valuable for recruitment because communities that value cohesion will likely produce more recruits or, at the very least, more buyers. This is incredibly important because this is the equivalent of the target audience that you have, the research that you do into your audience, and what pain points they have. Ethical or not, this is how they go about it. And I will point out that for the purposes of this podcast episode, it's what we do with public speaking as well. We take a look at who our target audience is and we speak to them directly. With that being said, let's dive into the motivational speaking part of it. What is a motivational speaker? They are a business professional who delivers speeches designed to inspire and motivate people in the audience. Also known as inspirational speakers, these individuals are gifted in the art of persuasion. They positively present their ideas and encourage others to follow their way of thinking. Now, I have never considered myself a motivational or inspirational speaker. And actually, one of the things that I try to do with my speaking engagements, with my workshops, with my events, with everything that I produce as a speaker is go beyond the motivation and inspiration. Though I do believe we all have a role in this world, and maybe your role is to be the motivator, and then someone else's role is to be the person that gets people to act, to do, gives them the tools to actually do what you're motivating them to do. But I always recall after a motivational speech and being inspired, yes, I'm 100% inspired, but I always feel like there's something missing. And as a speaker myself, I understand the power of persuasion and the power of words and how we use public speaking to persuade folks. So I'm not saying that motivational speaking and inspirational speakers is a bad thing. Not at all, because I genuinely believe that no matter the type of public speaking that you do, your intention is what matters. What is the intention, and why are you wanting to persuade people of this? And if your intention is based on community, if it's based on something that is beneficial to not just you but more people, I agree with it. If it's sort of something like this where you're speaking to get them to buy something that's hella expensive just so that they can be a part of your team and that you can make money off of them, that doesn't feel right to me. That's to me. So, these are some typical characteristics of a motivational public speaker, and I'll go through these and then we can talk a little bit more about them. So, these are some typical characteristics of a motivational speaker. They're authentic. Their message and delivery are unique and distinctive to them. They're empathetic. They can relate to their audience on a personal level by expressing familiarity with their emotions and experiences. They may also be vulnerable about their own shortcomings. They're confident. They can stay calm and focused, which helps them organize their thoughts and shows the audience they are prepared. They're passionate. They exude conviction in their message, which can inspire audiences to take action. They're selfless. They are motivated by a desire to help others and share their unique gifts and experiences. And voice inflection, that one's a huge one. They use different ways of speaking to bring emotion into their presentation. These are all great things. These are techniques that, as public speakers, especially if you are a motivational speaker, you should use these. These are incredibly important to your public speaking and to making sure that your message is seen, heard across multiple stages. Now, let me choose maybe empathy, right? They can relate to their audience on a personal level by experiencing familiarity with their emotions and experiences. If we think about the context that I provided about multi level marketing companies and this approach to targeting specific communities and specific types of people that maybe are going through a hard time or need more money, or again, are disillusioned with the idea of working 9 to 5 and being like, damn, I have to work all of this and nothing is my own, and wanting a business but not really knowing where to start. Knowing that about their particular audience, they can really touch on the familiarity and those emotions and experiences that those people are feeling. And that tugs at your emotions. No matter who you are, you're going to resonate with that. And by resonating with that, you're going to see them as this vessel of motivation to go for what they're asking you to go for, right? Whether that's sign up for this multi level marketing, sign up for that. And one thing that I will add is that a lot of multi level marketing companies, from what I've seen, use motivation as one of their larger techniques for getting people to enroll, meaning they can't just sell the product on its own, right? We know this about marketing, that people buy into your why. So they like the what, they like what you're selling, maybe, but they're more bought in to your why. And so they use that same tactic to get you to be a part of the MLM. Now, when you're already in there, this motivational speaking sort of comes in to play even more, because while you're in it, you may start to realize, oh, shoot, I'm not making as much money as I thought I would be. And I'm spending so much time, investing so much time into this, but there really is no guarantee of return. And there's a difference between entrepreneurship and doing that for a well-established MLM. I will say that. But you start to see that. And the way that they keep you there is, hey, this is your professional personal development. You have to focus on you and being the better version of you. And they use all these motivational speaking tactics to get you to stay. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It makes you feel like you're lacking versus, they use the technique of empathy to almost make it so that they say the right words that exude an empathetic approach. But really, again, I go back to the end goal. What is their end goal? Keeping you there. Because if you leave, then they lose money. And again, I believe, I wholeheartedly, well, I like to believe that MLM leaders and everybody, they're not in it because they think, oh, I want to take advantage of you. But it's just the structure of the business that sort of kind of just, that's what it ends up being most of the time. And that is backed up by statistics. This selflessness, let's step into that. They are motivated by a desire to help others and share their unique gifts and experiences. I've seen a lot of multi-level marketing leaders use this lifestyle, allude to, I was able to do this and I want to help you do it too type of thing. And there is some value in that. I mean, in what I do, I'm a public speaker and I want to help you really love it because I understand the power of it, right? But I don't necessarily make money off of making you love public speaking. I provide all this free information that allows you to tap into the art a lot more. And while it is my business, it's not the type of business where if you don't buy into it, or if you don't decide to follow me, or if you don't uh, book one of my services, I'm not making money, because I make money whether you decide to engage in the art of public speaking or not. But when we talk about motivational speaking and the selflessness, that's supposedly attached to it, it alludes to, hey, I'm telling you about this because it is in your best interest and I want you to succeed. I want you to do better. And something that I've realized and I actually am going to start a series where I react to specific videos of folks public speaking. MLM leaders will probably be included in that because I see those come up on my For You page all the time. And we're going to talk about impact and techniques that they used throughout, but that will be coming pretty soon. I just have to work on those. But this idea of selflessness, wow, why can't I say that word? A motivational speaker will make you feel, and sometimes because they genuinely feel this way, or because they know that they should allude to feeling this way, that what they're doing is providing you a guide and motivation so that you can do it too. That it doesn't come from anything that they could potentially win. And the thing with multi level marketing leaders is that when they're speaking, their end goal is to get you to stay or recruit you. Now, vocal variety. This is one of my favorites because a motivational speaker uses their voice to bring emotion into their presentation. And this is going to sound really mean, but I've listened and I've watched certain MLM speakers speak on stage, and uh, it you can tell that folks. I'll just say this: yelling does not mean that you're a great public speaker. Raising your voice even higher does not mean that you're a great public speaker. So I'll just say that. In fact, there's a lot of people that don't respond well to being yelled at, or just because you say something in a loud voice does not make that thing that you said have substance. I need to do a whole podcast episode on this, but as an introvert, this means so much to me. And it's probably because I am an introvert and we live in a world that rewards extroversion that this sometimes bugs me so much. Is I've seen a lot of motivational speakers out there say something real basic, like eggs are good for you, right? And they say it with such conviction and loudness that the way that we receive it as an audience is as if they just said something super innovative and impactful. When in reality, we've maybe heard it before, or it's not that motivational, it's not that groundbreaking of an idea, but because they're yelling, we sort of feel like there is no choice but to listen to them. So social media has evolved the way that MLM leaders have their sales pitches. I analyze some reels and speeches by MLM leaders, and I won't call them out because it's not about that. But if you'd like to know more about the information, reach out and I'm happy to share. So I'll give you some of the topics they talked about for the purposes of commentary. These are publicly posted, and we'll talk about their impact. And hopefully you can hear it all right. Let's see. So I want you to listen to it. I want you to listen to the language of it. And I want you to know that what they're saying isn't necessarily incorrect, but I'm going to point out some very specific tactics that tap into this emotion piece and make it about you. You have something that you're missing, and this is the secret to getting the thing that you're missing. So let's listen to this first one.
I should into I must. A lot of you guys have an I should mindset. This is a poverty mindset with rich taste. Some of you guys are waking up and you're like, I should post today. I should work out today. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I should connect maybe with one person this week. Maybe I should do it next week. Not the time. And that's exactly why nothing ever happens, because you don't get what you should. You get what you must.
Okay, anyways, so that was it. And the whole idea is turning your I should into an I must, which, yeah, that was motivational, right? That made me think about something differently. But again, the tactics that they're using here is being very forward with you. You have this mindset. You have this poverty mindset, almost victimizing you. And to someone that wants to potentially get out of poverty, or someone that wants to make a bunch of money and they're being sold this dream, this speech makes you feel like it's all about you and not about the system that you're a part of. Because if this speech maybe was given in a different context and they were at a job, which by the way, your job would never give you this type of motivational speech, but if you were in a different type of business and you adopted this mentality, like, yeah, maybe, right? But it almost puts all of the blame on the person versus the system and the business model that just does not work for 99% of people. All right, let's listen to another one. And again, I want you to listen to their voice inflection and these techniques that, are good, right? If you were to see them though on the screen, they are moving a little too much. They're moving back and forth and the camera is following them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up, which also is another tactic that I think I've seen them use, whether it's because we all get nervous or whatever it is, but they move around a lot across the stage and they speak very quickly. And so you catch on certain pieces, but then there's other things that you may miss because they're moving so fast, both in their actual speech, but also in their body movements on stage. So I want to listen to this next one, consistency with intensity. Let's see.
Number 2, consistency with intensity. So a lot of you guys get tricked with this. A lot of you guys read all the books, you guys see the TikTok gurus and everything, and they always talk about consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. Consistency without intensity doesn't guarantee you success.
Okay, so that one was playing some annoying music in the background, so I wanted to cut it short. But a lot of you guys, again, those specific words are being used when addressing the audience. And so if you're in the audience, think about this, right? You're in the audience, you're already in a vulnerable sort of position, both in your life. Maybe you are a college student or someone that just turned 18, doesn't know what to do with their lives, and you come to this, it's like, you guys, it puts the pressure on you, which again, isn't a good or bad thing, but it's just when you attach that to a system that doesn't work, that's when it's not okay. When you don't acknowledge all the other factors that actually play a role in this. Some of my issue with the motivational speeches that MLM leaders give is that they try to act like it's all on you. Like you have to do the work for this because yes, you have to do the work for anything, right? Nothing works unless we do. But it is so incredibly important to acknowledge the systems that we're a part of, to acknowledge the spaces that we're a part of, and acknowledge where certain business models, where certain contexts are not meant for us to succeed, and really create a plan for those things, right? And so I think the reason I have such a hard time listening to these and I cringe so much is because it puts all of the responsibility on the individual without acknowledging the larger issue, which is y'all are recruiting people to this multi-level marketing company where 99% of people in the industry, right? Maybe not at that specific multi-level marketing company, but in the industry don't make money, actually end up losing money. So I just think it's so cringe. But anyway, the words that they use, right? Very specifically, you. And with motivational speaking, that sometimes can be one of the tactics used is I want to inspire you, so I'm going to talk directly to you, which is not on its own bad or unethical. Again, it's what you want them to do at the end that is. I'll play one more just to see if let's see.
through failures. Okay, all of the leaders that you guys see on stage this weekend, they weren't built just at events or when they hit their ranks or when everything is nice and when the paychecks hits the bank account. You know where they were built? They were built through the nights where nobody wanted to join their business. They were built through the nights where they hosted in person arena that a lot of people look up to today was built through.
So, again, the motivational speaking being used as a tactic to get you to join the MLM and and really speaking to an experience that as an audience member you may be going through right now, which is lack of income from the business that you're putting so much effort into. And so what they speak on is it's going to get hard. You think that there weren't times where I wasn't getting sales for my business or I wasn't getting people to join the business or I didn't go up in the ranks and I kept going. And so it makes you believe that it is possible. It makes you believe that if you just keep going into debt, keep putting in the work, that you'll eventually get to either a spot where they are or that you'll get your own sort of rank or whatever it is. And there are actually videos of these same leaders, right? If we I'm taking their speeches and kind of making it a solo thing. So you're not getting all the context of the rest of the videos by them, but there have been Zoom meetings with their teams that come out. Again, I go into this rabbit hole where these same leaders are admitting that while on social media they were posting that they had this many people enrolled, they really didn't. Or while they posted about a lifestyle that they weren't necessarily living that in the moment, but they knew that that would get them sales. So it's not just the motivational speaking that I think gets me, it's everything that comes with it. It's a whole package type of thing. So I want you all to know that I'm not talking about motivational speaking as being a bad thing. Again, it's the intent, it's the tactics that you use, and it's the why behind you are wanting to be a motivational or inspirational speaker. So, again, right, when we think about motivational speakers in particular from this lens of MLMs, there's the positive reinforcement aspect. There's emotional appeals to you as a person that may be going through something. There are goal settings, right? Using the idea of an aspirational goal that you should have in mind and what you need to be doing to do it. And that you may go through hardships and that you may not see success in the beginning, but that you have to keep going. Again, some may argue, well, like, isn't that what being an entrepreneur is like? Yes and no. Yes, because as an entrepreneur myself, right, there are those sleepless nights, there are all this stuff, but I get to work on my own thing. It's my own business. It's not ran by someone else's idea of what a business should be, or I don't make commission off of a sale that I make. Like that's all my own. And you're working towards something that is very much your own creative genius, your own baby almost. To me, my business is my own baby, right? And so I want you to think about the ideas that MLM motivational speaking can have, right? I think I led a workshop a couple months ago and someone had mentioned that the reason they didn't want to get into public speaking was because they felt like it was very egocentric. And I can see if these are some of the examples that you see on stage where it's like me, and you're wrong. It can feel very self-centered. It can feel like something that's like all about you, but it doesn't have to be that way. And it's why I love public speaking and why I love to share my journey in it and have conversations like these about public speaking because it allows us to say, hey, public speaking can be used and be incredibly powerful to move people in really positive ways and change the world, but it can also keep people where they are, right? Because we are all often at some point in our lives in a state of ya no sé qué hacer. No sé qué hacer. I'm going through it. And this one person shows you the light and you think that that is the way. And to some capacity, we are fed a dream, right? Especially with this. And so I want you to know that motivational speaking is about persuading people. It is about getting them to see something differently. But I think the change that you make and the way that you approach motivational speaking, if it's centered on community and it's centered on making a change for the betterment of the community and not just your own pockets, that's when motivational speaking is beautiful and it actually is inspired. For the most part, I'm fascinated by the way that they use public speaking techniques to persuade people. And it is something that I do on my own time and I nerd out about. And I sort of dissect all of these different factors. And I thought it was about time that I did a podcast episode on it. Again, this one was really general, but if there are any other things that maybe I didn't touch on or that you'd like for me to go even into more detail on, let me know. I am trying to create a content segment where, again, I react to speeches and maybe not just motivational speeches, but just speeches in general, where I want to tap into the impact and the different techniques that they used as a way for us to learn more about the art of public speaking and see it in action. I'll end this episode with mentioning that if you are in the Bay Area on July 20th and would like to attend the Latina Presente Public Speaking Immersive Experience, these are all things that we can talk about live. And let's nerd out about public speaking. This is going to be the space where you can practice your public speaking. I'm going to lead a workshop on your signature topic, followed by a live podcast episode. And then there is going to be a portion of the programming dedicated to you getting things for your speaker portfolio. So I have put together what I'm calling a studio for you to get your headshots, for you to get action shots, and for you to record a video of yourself so that you can send to yourself and give yourself feedback or put it up on social media and start getting the word out about you as a speaker. So if that's something that you're interested in, the details are in the link of this podcast episode. Head to my website, chatswithivon.com, go to the Latina Presente tab, and y'all, July 20th, my birthday is July 18th, but July 20th feels like it's going to be my birthday because I'm going to tell you about all the things that are happening. So we have the event that's happening in the Bay Area. Check on my Instagram, by the way. I've been posting all of the sponsors, which I'm super thankful for. I'm going to launch my first ever product at my event. So people will get to shop it there. It's sort of a soft launch. And then at the same time, I'm also soft launching the Public Speaking Club. So if you would like to be the first to know about that and you're in the Bay Area, attend that. I'm also working on a date, probably end of September for LA and some SoCal, all my SoCal people. So keep an eye out for that. But with all of that being said, I hope that you found this episode useful, valuable, or that at the very least, te gustó el chisme. So if you did, and you enjoyed today's episode, like I always say, remember to share this with your mom, your tías, your sisters, cousins, everyone and their mamas. Y nos vemos a la próxima.